we're going to be making a plain poncho. So I've got the right sides together. I'm just going to overlock around the neck. And then I'm going to overlock down the shoulder seam that we have to sew up. And the other side, the shoulder seam. Now we're going to go to the plain side. Okay, we're going to do the neck. First of all, we want to attach our label to the centre. I've got a nick where the centre back is. And we just put it in the centre. And attach it so it sits nice and flat. Those cottons off. So now we're going to hem our neck. It's just 0.6, a foot width. Slightly pulling the fabric. When I do that, I kind of just hold it a little bit firm and let the machine take it a little bit. That's probably enough stretch really when the machine's taking it, so you just hold it a little bit and then let it go, so it's got a little bit of a pull to it. Just stops the stitching cracking when you're wearing it or putting it over your head. Now we're going to just do our shoulder seam. So matching our neck right on. So you want that nice and even. It's just a centimetre seam down here. I have a stripe here, so I'm just going down the stripe so we're looks nice from the outside. We're now going to top stitch that seam open. I'm just going to check my end. Sometimes it's easy to come back over this here and just make sure you've caught it right on the end, so when you pull it out it's not going to have a little gap there. So we can fold that back and we can top stitch. Easiest way is to open it out, and I'm going to go down from my hem first. You don't have to top stitch this if you don't want to, but I just think it looks nice. Slightly pulling the fabric again, just so the stitching doesn't crack. You want to stay on your seam, but if you only do a small foot width, you've done a centimetre seam, you'll be on. You come right to the end, and then we're going to turn around and come down the other way. That's caught. And now we're going to go back to the overlocker. Okay, so we're just going to overlock the hem. We've done all the top. So I start just one side of the shoulder. My fabric is a little bit rolly because it's 100% cotton. So with cotton it tends to roll. I'm just trying to get that out here. Down the corner. The sharper the corner, the harder it is to hem. So if you're having trouble, you can just scoop it off a bit. So when you come around the corner, you can just hold your hand like that and then just bring it round. As you go up with the straight grain, it gets a little bit rolly. And just run off. Make sure your threads have come back, just snip them off, and now we go back to the plain sewer. So now we're going to hem. So just start at your shoulder. We're just going to roll it back 0.6. We want not a big hem on this. You could just do your overlapping or a little bit more. The reason is when we get to the curve at the bottom, it's easy to have a small hem. So I'm basically just folding over that overlapping. So when we get to the curve, we need to go round, and as you see, once we get to here, there's going to be a bit of ease in that. You see that? So the sneaky way of doing that is hold your hand on the inside. When you get up to here, just start pulling that underside a little bit more and pushing the top side in. If you keep your hem just a small foot width, it should sit nice and flat once it's pressed. Then just slightly pull it, because even though this wouldn't be, you wouldn't really pull this, just in case you get it caught on the door and it stretches. Don't want the stitching to crack. Coming to our other corner, so the same thing, put your fingers in, just start slightly pulling the underneath a bit more. Keep the hem nice and small. Match your stitching when you come back to stitch, and there's your poncho. So we just have to go and press it now. Okay, I've pressed most of it anyway. It's quite an easy press this, but I just thought I'd show you the curves. Flick it over. So I've pressed this one. If you press one that you can see it gets a bit wrinkly, just use your fingers to press it, hold it down, and then just use lots of steam. If it gets a bit wrinkly, heaps of steam, and kind of just pat it, and then it should sit really nice and flat. You can see this top one, and just pat it. Just makes it sit down after the steam. If you don't have a suction iron, we have a suction iron here, so if you have a suction iron, you can just use that to pull the steam through, which will press it even better. And that's our plain poncho.